My name is Prem Asim Jain, and in this lecture of Node.js, we are going to learn how to explore and use Node.js documentation for our best programming. So the problem which usually new programmers who comes to Node.js is the signature of the methods which they are using. 95 to 90, actually 95% of Node.js is asynchronous and it depends on callbacks, which means that flow can go ahead, program flow, and as soon as that resource, whenever it becomes available, it would start running without holding up. Like Java will hold up to the line until and unless that's not finished, it will not go to the next line. It's blocking, that's why it is slow. But here, that's not the case. So coming back to asynchronous, so last whenever you take any method, so how I reached here is this is a website nodejs.org/API/documentation. So if you will go here, you will find Node.js comes with lot of inbuilt modules like path, OS, DNS, and there are several others like console. So how to use console, for example, what are the methods which are available for me to be used? So you can just click on console, and then this you can, after slash, you can also write whatever you want to search. Let's say events, error, console, whatever, it would get loaded. Since so many people are using this, it might be little bit slow, but be patient and it would load up. So the console module or the keys methods. So usually we would use console.log, and the parameter it takes is it would take the data and then it would take any number of arguments. You can click on this, so it would also show you nicely written example. So here we are giving it a count, whatever the number of count, which is of course the data. So you would put the data in this format. So it's a data which would pass as argument, and then you can write it. Ampersand D would be for digits basically. So this is how you would use console.time. You have to do a level. What is its function? What are its parameter? Everything is so nicely explained with the example that it becomes your life really really cool if you follow these API documentation. In fact, if you face problem here, if you are not able to follow these examples, then you can go to Stack Overflow. It would be more simplified programmers version. This version is like people who have invented this, or they, it is very, you know, old people or old experienced programmer which will oversee our basic doubts, and they might not consider it up to that, silly level or that grassroots level. But in Stack Overflow, since programmers like you and me, normal, I mean, I consider myself as just a very normal programmer. So normal programming language, they would be explained over there in simple English instead of using the jargons, technical jargons, and making the documentation super complex to understand without having much background. The That would be two ways. You can always go to usage and examples. That is another good way of exploring things out there. And I have also opened DNS just to show you another, about this class, how it works, what would it come. So if you say DNS, if you are using that module, you say ds and dot resolve. You have to give the host name, and then the process will continue in background. As soon as process is done, the callback function would get called. If it has error, it would error out. Otherwise, it would populate your object. So some of the people, like my student, asked, okay, what would be the parameter or argument for that callback which would get populated? So usually you can just grab the example, and that would help you to understand that the next object would be the callback. Callback's next argument would be the address. Basically, it would be the object of the address, which would sufficiently have other nitty gritties, like D and name, host, master. These are the properties for this class. So that's how this class would be, giving you whatever you need. So to be a better programmer, you have to learn how to use documentation properly, and documentation will explain you. In Node.js, it's really good documentation. So that would help. Some programming languages, the API documentation is poorly written, so it becomes harder to understand. But here they have proper parameters defined, they have proper description, and the best part is they also have the examples and usages. So you can just grab the example, try to make it run and modify according to yourself. So for I have just clicked the usage and example before for you. So it is giving the example how you can do hello world with the HTTP. This is just a very simple server. They are trying to create a server, and based on the server, they are giving you how you can run it. So you just need minor tweaks or modifications based on your own, and you can make it run. So I hope this might have helped you. Just try and grab the Mongo documentation, sorry, Node.js documentation. For Mongo drivers, if you need, you can go to Mongo and say Mongo node driver. So how to search that? It's super simple. You need to go Mongo DB node driver API. That's it. API is the keyword which you might be requiring. Then you can go Node.js MongoDB API documentation. This will give you how you can use it. So grab the example and run it instead of reading each and everything, going through thousands of line and understanding, because this will give you a practicable, workable piece of code which would help you to move ahead. You can make some tweaks and you can understand just by reading through the line, by following your own instincts. However, when it's needed, you have sufficient time and you need to go a little bit deeper. I would encourage you to go and read out all these if time permits. That would help you understanding their jargons or high tech words, which would certainly help you in googling this stuff when you encounter some errors. So thank you guys. Thanks for watching. Drop me an email at fameasim.webmaster@gmail.com for any questions.